chewing.
Thank you.
So come on in, you're not a picture.
There are some days you never forget. On August 25th, 2018, I was at home following the Toastmasters International Convention on my computer. I was really excited that day because that was the finals of the World Championship of Public Speaking. And in the finals, there were 10 finalists. 4 were women. That's significant because the previous year, in the 2017 finals, there were no women. Can you imagine that? No. So this was a special year. So not only were there women in the finals of the World Championship of Public Speaking, but the top 3 winners, the top 3 speakers in the world were all women. Including our champ here tonight. Yeah. Since the championship, it has been 8 long, beautiful, amazing months. You recognize that line, don't you? So Ramona has been featured in Business Insider, Forbes.com, Inc.com, along with other publications. She has traveled around the world giving keynotes in such places as Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, India, Sri Lanka.
Wow.
Should I keep going? No. But she's here tonight. When she's not traveling the world, she's on the smaller stage, inspiring her students to chase after their goals. In addition to being an educator, an author, and a poet, her greatest joy is being a mother to a 6-year-old son, Ryan. So everyone, please welcome the 2018 World Champion of Public Speaking, Ramona J.
What do you do when after you've given your all, it's not good enough? What happens when you've done your absolute best and your efforts still don't suffice? You've been criticized, analyzed, and scrutinized. Every minor detail about you or your performance has been picked apart. Now what? Toastmasters, guests, and anyone who's ever felt like you were not good enough. Did you know that every time you use someone else's ruler to measure your success, you'll never add up? We often use other people's rulers to measure our success in relationships, at work or at school, and in our family lives. Why? Because we want to please the people who are close to us. And during those times when we actually do measure up, we feel great, we feel happy, we feel elated. But during those times when we don't quite measure up, we feel down, defeated, and depressed. Ultimately, we want our loved ones to believe in us. But what happens when you've done everything you can and it's still not good enough? Well, for starters, how do you measure it? What constitutes the exact level of good enoughness? That's a word. Google it, Q, it's a word. How much is enough good to fit the bill? completely subjective. For example, I think I'm awesome. I think I'm great. I think I'm wonderful. But there was this guy. And for the sake of this speech, we'll call him Cliff. That's really his name, but you don't know. Cliff was my dream guy. Everything I ever wanted in a mate. Ladies, don't look at me like that. You had a dream guy. He may not be with you right now, but you had a dream guy. A guy who checked every box on that list. Cliff was 6'7", almost 6'8". He had previously played professional football in the NFL. He held 2 master's degrees. He was the dean of students at a preparatory school, and he was a successful real estate investor. Not a bad catch, right? But Cliff thought that I wasn't good enough for him. Why did Cliff think I was lacking in the area of good enoughness? That's a word. Because when we first met, I was an undergrad. I didn't even have a car. My only source of income was from my work-study job on campus. However, I had studied abroad in Africa. I had made the dean's list every semester, and I had generated thousands of dollars in scholarship money. I didn't understand why Cliff couldn't see my potential. All I could think was, really, Cliff? You're going to walk away from all of this? All of this? Can you think of a time when you didn't meet someone else's expectations? How did it make you feel? Did you start to doubt yourself or second guess where you should be in life? Ladies and gentlemen, each and every time we use other people's rulers to measure our value, will never be enough. We must not encapsulate our greatness because we have an unlimited supply. It's because of who we are that certifies us. It's not about what we have. It is not about what we own, but it's those intangible things, our gifts, our talents, our skills that make us special, amazing, and unique. And once you know full well what those things are that make you special and unique, the opinions of others will no longer take away from your self-value. Once you embrace the beauty and strength that lies within you, what other people think of you is none of your business. For example, when your boss tells you that presentation you gave was horrible, it was trash, worst he'd ever seen, you won't take it personal. When your coworkers tell you that your new idea or policy isn't useful, you won't feel inadequate. When someone tells you you won't make a good spouse simply because you don't hold a certain degree or make a certain amount of money, you'll laugh. Ha! Because you know that he or she is walking away from all of that good enoughness. I challenge you all to start tapping into your unlimited supply. That's my challenge to you. We all have greatness that lies within us, but we have to start tapping into it. And once you do that, no matter what anyone says about you, your family, your friends, your fellow Toastmasters, your Cliff, you can break away from those expectations because you know that just by being exactly who you are, you've always been more than good enough. Thank you. All the way to the semifinals. On your way to the World Championship stage, there are several levels that you have to become victorious at before you can ascend to that level. You have to win at the club level, the area level, the division level, the district level, the semifinals, and then you go on to the World Championship stage. So there were levels, 30,000 people, over 30,000 people every year compete for this. So it's not some small feat. And I want to leave this with you today as well, because I go some places and they say I'm bragging. And they say, oh, why does everything have to be about your accomplishments? Stop sitting on your accomplishments. Stop being ashamed of the things that you've done, especially if you worked hard for it. Now, I'm not going to be at the grocery store at Publix and say, hey, cashier, I'm the world champion. You're scaring world championship bread right now. I'm not going to do that, but if you ask me where I've been, I'm going to tell you. If you ask me why I'm the champion, I'm going to let you know. If you ask me how I made history, I'll tell you that I'm only the 5th woman to do this. And all the history the organization started in 1924. The competition, the International Speech Contest, started in 1938. Ladies, we couldn't even compete until 1973. There has not been a woman winner in 10 years. The last woman was LaShonda Rundle. She actually came to visit, I believe. She passed away. So I'm only the 2nd African-American woman to ever win this title, the only living African-American woman to hold this title, and I'm proud of it. And just because people ask me to do the still standing speech, I will do that next. I don't think it's going to have the same effect, but I will do it because people enjoy it. And if you know the parts, feel free to say it with me. I'll start. Where's Lois? We're going to start like this? All right. I'll take this one. This is my abaya. This is from Saudi Arabia. They made it just for me. You ready, Lois? Life will sometimes feel like a fight. Let me sing. There you go. Yes! The punches, jabs, and hooks will come in the form of challenges, obstacles, and failures. Yet if you stay in the ring and learn from those past fights, at the end of each round, you'll be still standing. Toastmaster Hugh, thank you so very much for inviting me. Fellow fighters, can you think of a time when life knocked you down? Who was your toughest opponent? Most often, our most challenging opponents is ourselves. Round 1, college. I dropped out of college, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times. I know, right? I told myself that college wasn't for me and I would never go back. Round 2, marriage. I married my soulmate, my best friend, the love of my life. He was fine too, no, it wasn't Cliff. Cliff missed out on all this. We were married for 8 long, beautiful, amazing months. This is fun. It was as though after we said I do, the heavyweight champion came in and delivered an electrifying, devastating blow to our vows. Boom! Divorced. Round 3, speaking. I first tried to do the International Speech Contest in 2015. That was my first attempt. I won at the club level. I won at the area level. I won at the division level. Then the district level was on the way. I was on the roll. I was on fire. I lost. After going 3 rounds and taking hit after hit, where's Maria? I was ready to throw in the towel. Let's see. I felt like I was down for the count. 6, 7, 8. But when was the last time life tried to knock you down? that you were reaching out to help you stand back up? Was it your friends, your family, or did you hold on to your faith? Or for some of you, maybe you've never been knocked down, but you've seen one of your friends or family members take a devastating blow. Were you the coach in their corner or the trainer in their corner saying, get up, stand up? After seeing the coaches in my corner and seeing the trainers encourage me to get up, I mustered up all the strength to help stand back up. And instead of looking into a mirror of defeat, it became a window of possibilities. And so I got back in the ring. Let's go, Lois. I went back to college, and I graduated magna cum laude. After failing 4 times, I was still standing. After my loss in 2015 at the district level, I am now the world champion of public speaking. Even after that defeat, I'm still standing. As for marriage, I'm still in training. I have yet to find Mr. Right, but my eyes are always open, and I'm looking for wedding rings right now. Even after my divorce, I'm still standing. I challenge you all to stay in the ring. Whether you're a coach or you're a fighter, if you're in the ring fighting, throwing those punches, those jabs, and those hooks, or if you're on the sideline saying, get up, stand up. At the end of the round, when the final bell rings, ding, 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 the coaches and the fighters will raise their hands in victory singing, I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. We're still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was awesome. Whatever you're going through, just stay in the ring. And even after you take a few hits, remember what you've learned from those past fights, and at the end of each round, you'll be still standing. All right. This is the part where I let loose a little bit. This is the part where I put my body back on because it makes me happy. And I'll talk briefly about my journey, and then I think we will have a Q&A if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay? Yes. My Toastmasters journey started in 2010 in Hawthorne, California. Why did I join Toastmasters initially? Because when I was 19, I knew that I wanted to do this forever. I knew that I wanted to speak. I hated sitting in the audience. I never wanted to be in the audience. I always wanted to be the person up on stage speaking. But I didn't have a point of reference. I didn't have an aunt who was in public speaking. My mom wasn't a part of Toastmasters. I didn't have a guide to say, hey, this is how you do it. But one day, my sister said, consider joining Toastmasters. It'll help you become a more effective speaker. It'll polish your leadership skills. It'll help you get that professional development that you need as a speaker. And so I joined in Hawthorne, California, 2010. When I joined that club, the president, Amy Ayano, changed my life. There are 16,000 clubs worldwide affiliated with Toastmasters, and every club has a different personality. I've been blessed to be a member of 3. The first one, with Amy Ayano as my president, she was very eclectic. She was eccentric. She was creative. She helped me learn how to be myself on stage. If you think this is fancy, you should have saw Amy, a Japanese woman about this tall, coming in every meeting with a nice bright kimono, and she'd start with, fellow Toastmasters and guests, welcome to the greatest show on earth. Imagine that every single week. It'll sink in. It'll sink in. And she encouraged me to be creative and to be myself and to not be afraid to look foolish on stage. A few years later, I moved back to my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, and I joined a club called the Cleveland Club. Now, the Cleveland Club was very prestigious. The Cleveland Club mirrored a corporate club. That means that the majority of the people worked at the Regional Transit Authority in downtown Cleveland, and they would meet every Thursday on their lunch breaks. They were coming in blazers, in suits, and everyone spoke very professionally, and I didn't wear any shiny things there. It was very sophisticated, but that's how I learned how to present myself in a professional way. Because as a speaker, you have to know your audience. So I'm able to identify with the artistic people, but as well as the people who are more corporate and sophisticated. So it gave me that well-roundedness that I needed. And that's when I started competing. In 2015, I competed. And as I just mentioned, I made it to the district level. And then I tried again in 2016, and I didn't get past the initial club level, but that's okay. In 2018, I joined the current club that I'm a member of now, called the Sci-Fair Super Speakers. And I did not realize that my Toastmasters experience could get better, but it was elevated because I saw diversity. I had never seen that much diversity in a club ever, and I felt that sense of family and structure, and that was after the first meeting. I went, and everybody was just very supportive and very encouraging, and at that point I had matured a little bit. I grew up, my attitude changed. In 2015, as I mentioned, I continued to win. It was my first time competing, and I was winning. What does that do to a young woman's ego? He's been competing for 12 years and I beat him? This is my first time and I'm winning? I'm already the world champion. I was so arrogant that year, the international convention was in Vegas. So when you win at the district level, you get a ticket to the semifinals, whatever city it's in. Before I even competed at the district level, my bags were already packed. That's how convinced I was in my arrogant little mind that I was going to win. And then the next year, when I tried again, I was egotistical. I'm gonna come here at club level. This is the first level. I got it. And then when they didn't say my name, it knocked me down. Fast forward to 2018, completely different person, educated, trying to get on track, trying to become more of a good person for others, not just for myself. So when I wanted to compete in 2018, it was for 3 reasons, and I know Hugh knows. To learn, grow, and have fun. Didn't even focus on the trophy. Of course, when you enter a competition, you want to win and be successful, but that wasn't my motivation. I wanted to sharpen my skills as a speaker. I wanted to represent this wonderful club that I was a part of, and I wanted to learn all about Toastmasters and really enjoy the journey and the process. And so with the support of my club, I continued to compete, and every time, I just had fun. I just went in there and enjoyed the moment. I wasn't concerned about who was competing or why they were competing or if I was better than her or if I thought I was better than him or who's ever competed in here? You know then. You know then. You go in there, you're like, I wonder what, he looks like a good speaker. Nah, she doesn't look like she's going to talk about anything. It's like the process of elimination, by the way they look. I wasn't doing that. I was going in there to genuinely enjoy the moment and share my story about Mr. Cliff on stage. And that's pretty much my Toastmaster journey from 2010 to 2018. I didn't expect to win a World Championship of Public Speaking in 2018. I didn't expect it. I wasn't that person that year going around saying, I'm the 2018 World Champion of Public Speaking. I wasn't doing that. That wasn't my focus. And so when I got to Chicago and I was in the semifinals, I had never been there before. How many of you have been to the semifinals before? I had never been. And it was new to me. And when you're competing at the district level is usually huge, right? It's a lot of people. Imagine that like times 3. Imagine that times 3. When I walked into the semifinals, there were 106 of the best speakers in the world. And of course, the majority of the speakers are men. And so that year, I don't know how it has been the previous years, but that year we were grouped. There were 10 or 11 different groups. And in my group, there were 10 of us. And we all sat together because we were going to be competing against that specific 10. I was the only woman, and it was my first time. A lot of those guys had been there 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 10 times, so this is what they do. And so I walked down the road, and excuse me, mister, oh, sorry, sir. I have on this little cute little top and skirt, and I sit down, and I'm just looking like a deer in headlights. I'm afraid, I'm nervous. I see all these people from all around the world because that's when it gets international. that's when you see the abayas, and you see the kimonos, and you see the hijabs, and you see all these different people, and it was very intimidating. So I'm just sitting there, my knees were shaking a little bit, and I see this older gentleman get up, looking like my grandfather, so I was comforted. And I'm like, yes, Grandpa's gonna come over here and give me some encouraging words. Thank you. I'm like, I know he can see me sitting here. He's, yes. So he comes over, he bends down, and he says, you know I'm gonna beat the pants off you, right? He didn't know about this. He didn't know that. But in my mind, I said, okay, well, lucky for me, I'm wearing a skirt, so let's do this. And then I did the Cliff speech on stage. He gave his speech, and Grandpa didn't even place. So that's the ego. Anyway, I was very nervous, and then I finally got to the final stage. And it's very hard for me to explain. How many of you have been to the contest, the international level, and you've seen it? How big is that stage?
Yeah.
That stage is massive. That stage is like the Titanic. It was huge, and then the background is so, the bluest blue I'd ever seen. And then our faces are plastered on that screen and then that screen. It was like being on American Idol. And there were times when I was sitting in the audience and I was looking at the other, because at that level, everybody's amazing. At that level, the top 10 speakers in the world, everybody is dynamic, everybody is on point. And I became a fan because I had watched so many videos on YouTube. I had watched all these people for all these different years at this level, and I was finally there. And then the lady tapped me and she said, it's time for you to get mic'd up. I said, why? She was like, because you're competing. I said, oh, yes, that is why I'm here. But I got so caught up in the moment. And the history that was made, it was just phenomenal. The trifecta of women, and to just see all the other world champions there on the front row cheering me on. And there's no manual when you become the world champion of public speaking. There's no blueprint. They don't give you a book and say, here's everything you need to do and what you need to know. And there are no checks written. So, and some people still think that once you become the world champion, they cut you like $1 million check. They don't. They don't. And it's optional. You don't have to do all this traveling. A lot of people inbox me and say, oh my God, you travel so much. Well, I actually have a life and I have things to do. I can't travel like you. You don't have to. You don't have to. It's optional. I do it because this is what I've always wanted to do with my life. And Toastmasters has given me the platform to be able to live my dreams. And I appreciate it. And I'm happy. I'm happy, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to connect with people from all over the world. And I've learned so much about myself as a human, because when you step outside of America, and you step outside of all the division, and all the hatred, and all of the clashing of the races, and you step outside of that, and I'm going in as a champion, so I'm getting the utmost respect. I will not say that I'm colorblind. I'm not going to say that. That's a lie. But I will say that by expanding my horizons and laughing in the same language and crying in the same language and eating with people who I've never, I don't know these people, but we're bonding, and I don't even know who you are, and we can come together on a common thread, and it's just all peaceful and lovely. I see the human race.